Repair Clinic encourages you to perform this procedure safely. In this video, we will show one or more of these icons to alert you when to use caution. Before you replace the ignition coil on your snowblower engine, make sure the engine has cooled and the ignition key has been removed. Now carefully tip the snowblower forward so it rests on the auger housing. Detach the choke lever extension. Next, use a 3/8" socket to unthread the 3 mounting screws, securing the lower shroud. Lift the lower shroud off. Now release the hose from the primer bulb. Use locking pliers to crimp the fuel line, then release the retaining clamp to detach the line from the carburetor. Return the snowblower to its upright position. Now use a 5/16" socket to remove the 3 mounting screws, securing the chute assembly to the chute ring. With the screws unthreaded, lift off the chute assembly. Next, use the 3/8" socket to remove the 4 mounting screws, securing the upper shroud. You can now lift off the upper shroud and set it aside. Using a 10mm socket, remove the nut and bolts securing the governor arm cover plate. Lift off the plate. Next, loosen the rope guide wing nut to release the starter rope and handle. Remove the bolts securing the blower housing. Set the blower housing aside. Rotate the flywheel to move the magnet away from the ignition coil. Now remove the mounting bolts securing the ignition coil. Detach the breather tube from the valve cover. Detach the wire and boot from the spark plug. And disconnect the ignition switch wire harness. You can now remove the old ignition coil assembly. Prepare the new ignition coil for installation by transferring the insulating shield from the old component to the new one. Now feed the wires underneath the throttle linkage and secure the spark plug wire in the retaining bracket. Attach the boot to the spark plug and connect the wire harness to the ignition switch. Reattach the breather tube to the valve cover. Align the new coil on the engine, then thread the mounting bolts loosely. Make sure to secure the grounding wire under the lower bolt. Pull the coil back and tighten the bolts. Rotate the flywheel so the magnet aligns with the coil. Then insert a business card. Loosen the bolts to align the coil the correct distance from the flywheel. Retighten the bolts and remove the card. Reposition the blower housing and replace the bolts to secure. Realign the starter rope handle in the rope guide and tighten the wing nut. Reposition the governor arm cover plate. Replace the nut and bolts to secure the plate. Reposition the upper shroud and replace the mounting screws. Realign the chute assembly on the mounting pins. Then rethread the screws to secure. Tip the snowblower forward. Reattach the fuel line to the carburetor and secure it with the retaining clamp. Remove the locking pliers and reattach the hose to the primer bulb. Replace the lower shroud by first inserting the tabs into the slots in the frame. Position the shroud and rethread the mounting screws. Replace the choke lever extension with the support tabs facing up. Return the snowblower to its upright position. With the repair completed, reinsert the ignition key, and your snowblower should be ready for use.